Okay, so we've moved to the inside of the house here now. We're gonna go ahead and cut this window out. If you remember when we were in the framing process with our walls, especially with this front and back door, we had put the sheathing on while the floor was still laying down, and we were able to take a circular saw and cut out the sheathing while it was already on the ground. That's a perfectly acceptable way to do it. But let's say you're doing a renovation on a home and you had to tear the siding off, you had to replace some sheathing, and you went over a window. So the wall is already standing and you need to get that sheathing off. So one way to do it would be to, again, take those careful measurements on the outside, chalk a line and take a circular saw and cut it out from the outside. But let's say you're also on the second story and it's really hard to make a cut on a ladder or a scaffold. We're safely inside right now. We have a good strong foundation to put a ladder on and can make a little bit safer of a cut. So you can do the same thing from the inside with a sawzall. And you can actually do a plunge cut with a sawzall as well. You don't have to start a pilot hole. If you would like to and feel more comfortable with taking maybe a 1/2-inch drill bit and making a pilot hole in the corner so you can start the blade in that hole, feel free. That's perfectly acceptable. But just a little bit faster way is to make a plunge cut. So when making a plunge cut with a sawzall, you want to make sure that you choose a thicker blade. I know some of the DeWalt blades, they have like that triangle shaped one that comes down to a really skinny point. It'll work if you're careful, but I know like the Milwaukee blades like this one has a stiffer back to it and it won't bend on you. If you accidentally hit the tip of one of those DeWalt blades, it'll just bend on you and you have to take a hammer and straighten it out again. So try to get a stiffer backed blade. And what you can do then is we're gonna take the sawzall, and instead of going perpendicular to the wall like this, we're actually gonna start at a really severe angle, just so you can get that blade started through the wood. And then once you're through the wood, then you can come back perpendicular and make your cut. Once you are through the wood, I like to kind of hold the sawzall at a little bit of an angle. That makes sure that you don't have any wood coming up over your sill or your shoulder studs here that'll get in the way of your window installment. If you do, a lot of times it's hard to make a straight cut with the sawzall. You can come back and trim that off later, but if you just kind of hold at an angle and use the edge of this 2x4 here, or the sill or shoulders, you can have a cleaner cut and just get it done with one pass. So we'll go ahead here. I'm going to start on the side and I'm going to hold at an angle here, and I'm going to just start the saw a little bit slow and let the blade touch the wood, and then you're going to see it start to cut. So then you'll just kind of ease the saw on into the cut, and then once you're through, you can continue going down the side of the shoulder stud here. Okay, I'll do the same thing on this side. Then I'll come across the bottom. All right, and then you can just punch it out. Okay, so then you can inspect the cut. Looks like I got a little bit high here and on the side. And then basically you can go back and just trim that up real quick. And then your opening's ready for Tyvek. Okay, so in addition to your window openings, you want to go ahead and go around and cut out the bottom plates of all your door openings. If you remember when we framed our wall, we went ahead and left this bottom plate in our wall. That way when we stood the wall up, this bottom plate kept our door opening straight so our bottoms didn't shift out of alignment. So we didn't put any nails in here and we're ready to cut it out. So you'll want to go around and get all these out so your rough opening is the correct measurement. So what we'll do here is we'll just take the sawzall blade and go right along our shoulder stud, go straight down through our bottom plate on both sides, and we'll get this taken out. Once it's cut, you can just take a hammer, get underneath it. It looks like somebody nailed our, yep, somebody nailed our sheathing here. That's okay. You can just come through here and cut those All right, so we got that bottom plate out, and then the only thing left to do is to take off the rest of this sheathing, and it'll be the same concept as we just did with the window. We're gonna come in and go ahead and just run right along this floor to get this last part out. All right, and we can come back with a broom then and clean this up. One last thing after you cut out your bottom plate, you just want to make sure that this last little part here is nailed off good to your rim joists. Looks like they already got a double layer nails, so we're good. So just right along here into your rim joist.